Be done to the fact they got your name, city, and rank. But you falling for the trap, tripping off titties and drink. Whole generation going, and I really hate to confess. Fuck you, big girl, this is my state of address.
Even today.
President Barack Obama urgently convened his flu team at the White House today.
I don't want anybody to be alarmed, but I do want everybody to be prepared.
The H1N1 virus is different than most flu strains. Young people are 20 times more likely to get it than people over 65. So the start of school is raising the concern level. The president says the vaccine program is making steady progress.
This program will be completely voluntary, but it will be strongly recommended.
But infectious disease experts aren't so sure. Flu vaccines are in trials right now, but the earliest they could be ready is October. A spike in the H1N1 virus could come sooner.
The question is not, can we produce enough vaccine over time? Can we produce enough vaccine quickly enough to get it into people's arms before the disease gets here?
Since the first outbreak of the H1N1 virus last spring, more than 1 million people have been infected. 553 have died. Public health officials are preparing for a second surge as school starts, but they're not necessarily predicting one.
It could be more than what we saw last spring. It could be less than what we saw last spring. And the date in which the first cases begin to occur cannot be predicted.
New York City has seen more new flu cases than anywhere in the country. The city estimates up to 800,000 cases, and today announced flu shots will be available for its 1 million school kids.
If they make it available to us, we know how to distribute it.
What a scene it was this weekend as Americans tried to do the right thing. President Obama decided to declare the epidemic a national emergency of swine flu. And around the country, people were lining up waiting for hours to get vaccinations. But there are only 11 million doses available, far short of the 40 million expected by this time, and the 150 million the government says will eventually be needed for everyone. ABC's Lisa Fletcher has been there where the lines will be forming again.
And it couldn't come fast enough.
We knew it was limited, and we kind of braced ourselves, but still, you're never really prepared to wait 4 hours, in a car.
The LA County Health Department reports 3,000 doctors ordered the medicine and only 400 have received it. In Chicago, 7 clinics used every drop they had and ended up turning people away.
If we had more supply, we could give it to more people, but we don't.
In fact, the government said 40 million doses would be ready by now. In reality, it's about 1/4 of that.
I think the problem has been the manufacturers have been overly optimistic, and it's made planning much more difficult.
46 states are reporting H1N1 as widespread, with more than 1,000 deaths and 20,000 hospitalizations. And while an average case is usually no more dangerous than other flu, this strain has its unknowns. 30% of the deaths are in healthy people with no underlying problems.
All right, Lisa, thank you. Well, what does the administration think about this scene around the country? And is it getting too late to bother getting the swine flu vaccine?
And if we had found the virus a little earlier, we could have started a little earlier. But to remind people, this virus wasn't found until the end of April, and here we are at the end of October. We have a vaccine that works, and that's good news. Well, I don't think it's too late. Flu season has just begun. The 1st of October was the launch of flu season. What we saw in the mid-50s with, again, a pandemic spread was that there was a big outbreak in the fall. It died down for a bit, and then a new wave in the spring. What we saw this April with H1N1 was a big burst of flu, a little bit of lower numbers, and then another big burst of flu. So I think that getting vaccinated, even if you've had the flu in the summer or early fall, our scientists tell us that's a good plan.
I know 11,000 students stayed home, 16 public schools closed. But incredibly, Mayor Bloomberg says you can't wall yourself off and will only close schools on a case-by-case basis. That despite the advice of his city health commissioner, who will soon be the head of the Centers for Disease Control.
I've asked the question, what would you do, Dr. Frieden, if you wanted to prevent the spread of flu among the entire student population? And the answer is close the schools for a month, prohibit all interaction between kids outside of school, and even then, there's no guarantee that you would do that.
The mayor's office defended itself against charges it acted too slowly to close the schools down. Mitchell Weiner, a school administrator, died Sunday. The mayor closed the school shortly after he was hospitalized Thursday. He had an underlying condition, the mayor's office said, but would not confirm details. With more than 5,000 cases now in the United States, swine flu has hit 48 states and contributed to 6 deaths. Dr. Vincent Racaniello of Columbia Medical, one of the top scientists in the country, says this strain has not been seen before.
This strain is different because it is spreading, and it's spreading globally, as you know. The real concern is that most people are not going to be immune to it, so many people will be infected.
Some virologists are concerned it could mutate by the traditional fall season.
Now, the head of the World Health Organization today held a press conference refusing to raise the level above a level 5 and just below declaring a pandemic. They say it would stay at that time for the time being, Lou.
Level 5, and level 5 is supposed to be the level at which they're about to declare a pandemic. We know for a couple of facts. We know that health agencies are not reporting the number of cases accurately, not even close. We know that the cases are not being screened to determine whether or not, in many cases, this is swine flu. This is peculiar, and in all of the fatalities, there's been, it seems, almost a concerted effort to say there was a pre-existing condition. This becomes, in and of itself, suspect. What is going on here?
Well, you know, they're telling me that you cannot, they're not testing for this widespread testing. That's just not going on. And also, so many people are just not being tested. They think it's just normal flu. And so you have a lot of cases that are not being reported at all. So you could have many, many more cases out there.
And the only reason one could imagine that would be the case is that they don't want to report higher numbers.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, every infectious disease expert with whom we've spoken here has said it is a pandemic.
They have. And, you know, they say reporting flu-like symptoms. Well, it seems to me that they should be testing these flu-like symptoms to see which kind of flu these people have.
And we still are contending with this sort of reflexive political correctness. A number of news organizations going with H1N1 instead of the swine flu. Bizarre, since that's not a distinction at all from the seasonal flu, influenza A, H1N1. Right. We'll continue to call it swine flu here, just as is most of the civilized world. Thank you very much, Kitty. The swine flu outbreak began, of course, in Mexico. Dozens of people were killed there. More than 70 deaths worldwide have been reported as the result of swine flu. And as of today, the virus has sickened more than 8,800 people in 40 countries. According to some WHO estimates, they are that.
Pepperidge Farm remembers, but Pepperidge Farm ain't just going to keep it to Pepperidge Farm self free of charge. Maybe you go out and buy yourself some of these distinctive Milano cookies. Maybe this whole thing just disappears.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.
Opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long